Hi, I'm Scott. I'm the head of PPC here at Journey Further.
Hi, I'm Amy and I'm a PPC team leader at Journey Further.
And today we're going to be talking about Performance Max, the advantages and disadvantages of this campaign type. So Amy, can you give us a little bit of an intro into Performance Max? What are the key advantages and disadvantages of the campaign type?
So Performance Max is a sort of relatively new campaign type. It's been around about 18 months now. And it sort of always seemed like a more retail focused campaign and as a evolution from smart shopping campaigns really. But there's quite a few differences. It's targeting across multiple channels. So it's across search, shopping, display and video, as well as discovery ads. We're using lots of different sort of asset types as well in there. So you've got image ads, video ads, as well as the product ads and also text ads as well on search. So
yeah, obviously Performance Max is across all of those different Google platforms. So there's a big reach involved there. I think one of the things that we've heard about a lot with Performance Max is a lack of insight and what you can really get out of Performance Max. Could you talk a little bit more about that and the challenges that you face and how we've managed to overcome those?
So I think that was a bit of a concern initially about what we could actually get out and what we could see within this campaign type. And we've put a lot of work in since it's been available to trying to understand exactly what you can see. There's a big difference, I think, between what you can just see as standard in the platform and what you can sort of dig into to try and get more insight out of the campaign. And we put a lot of work as a team into doing that. And I think initially what we thought was a campaign type which had a massive lack of insight that we could get from it. And now we're sort of finding lots of different ways to pull different data out to sort of then decide on what changes need to do to improve performance.
Are the insights that you get from Performance Max, are they down to something that you're doing in the platform? Is there something that you're adding on top of that? How are you getting those insights out?
Yeah, so I think probably the biggest challenge we saw initially was not being able to see performance by channel. So not even understanding the difference between the volume that's going through search versus shopping versus display. And that was a bit worrying because we've kind of always had that breakdown previously. We actually were able to develop a bespoke script here, which enabled us to see that data and not just see it, but pull it automatically into our reports as well. And that has been invaluable to sort of understanding performance at a much deeper level and then understanding if there's any sort of concerns or issues and how we respond to those and the changes that we make off the back of that data has been massive. So,
going off script, throwing a curveball out here, is there anything you can do in terms of the setup of your campaigns to help with that insight as well?
Yeah, so I think we sort of manage a wide breadth of accounts here, which the advantage we have with that is being able to test quite a few different strategies and seeing how different client types respond to those. And again, that's been really useful for us to understanding the right way of doing things. And what's been obvious is there's no sort of one-size-fits-all approach. It is very different based on the sort of type of advertiser that we're working with. And what we've seen is sort of breaking campaigns down by sort of margin and categories, and having that sort of breakdown has enabled us to have a way more insight to what's happening rather than just having everything in one campaign.
No, I think that's a really interesting point because as well as getting those insights out, you're also able to make changes off the back of those. You've got that control with those different campaign types that you've just mentioned. So like you just said, the targeting can be set differently. The bid strategies can be set differently by those different margins.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. So having that sort of setup means, and it's not just about understanding the performance within there, but understanding the type of audience as well that we might target with those different products and different sort of margin levels or categories. So what's been important is having the different breakdown by margin so that if you're targeting sort of those higher margin products, you can have the setup a different sort of ROAS target to make sure that you're getting the most profit out of that versus the sort of lower margin products and how you'd manage those bid strategies. So we can still have that breakdown, and that's really important, I think.
I think we talked a little bit before about the different channel mix that's within Performance Max, and in the article that you've written, you've talked about setting up standard shopping campaigns alongside Performance Max. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so this has been tried in sort of multiple instances, really. In some instances, we saw when accounts moved from Smart Shopping to Performance Max, there was actually a drop in visibility across shopping activity. So we were able to see that with the script that we developed as well. So that was much more obvious, like comparing that shopping level data versus previously. So obviously that was a bit of a concern to us and our clients. And one of the tactics we tried was having standard shopping alongside Performance Max as well. And in all cases pretty much that we tried this, it resulted in more visibility at the same performance level. So it was a really important tactic to sort of roll out across where possible.
Nice. I guess there's a lot of people out there who have set up Performance Max, seen a drop off and not been able to identify why that is.
Yeah.
So it's good that we've got that script in place to discover those things.
Yeah, I think having the visibility of seeing that actually only 50% of the traffic going through it was shopping, when actually we probably might have assumed it was 90%. So having that visibility and seeing it automatically on a daily basis and seeing if there's any change in that over time is huge for being able to sort of respond to performance and what needs to be done.
You mentioned before about the different asset types that are incorporated into Performance Max. What's available and how do you optimize those different asset types? How does that work?
Yeah, it's not as sort of clear cut as it used to be with sort of optimizing ads in PPC and just running A/B tests. So now we've got sort of a huge range of assets that we could use. So with Performance Max, Google wants us to sort of upload different images, video, and then you've got the product feed for the product ads, as well as sort of text assets as well that are where Google creates the sort of text ads as well. So one of the more obvious points that we found with it is making sure you actually create your own video. So if you don't create your own video, Google actually automatically creates one. And the standard of those has been not brilliant, really, from what we've seen. And we actually ran a test on that as well to sort of measure performance versus one that we've created, which was much more on brand and more sort of CTA focused. And the performance was much stronger for video with that. So yeah, we definitely recommend trying to be on brand and use sort of quality assets within the campaign. I also find like working closely with sort of paid social and the programmatic teams that we have, that we sort of understand what works well across different clients. So they have so much insight into the sort of creative that works best for different audiences and different sort of products as well. So I think utilising that sort of information internally is really important. And also with what we talked about with structure as well, in terms of breaking the campaigns down into sort of margin level or different categories. Well, if you have that breakdown, you can then be a lot more targeted with the creative that you upload. So, if you're targeting products for men, products for women, you can put men or women in that creative. So it's a bit more engaging for the audience that you're going after.
Despite what people lead you to believe online, it doesn't look like, from what you've said, that Performance Max is that black box. What advice would you give to someone who is looking to run Performance Max but is still a little bit worried that they're not going to be able to optimize, they're not going to be able to have that control or insight?
Yeah, it's I definitely felt like that, to be honest, before I worked on it. And I think writing the article has sort of forced me to sort of really collate all the sort of different insights and tactics that we were able to pull from Performance Max. And I think by the end of it, I was sort of really surprised how much there was in there and how many different levers we have to pull within the campaign and how much sort of data we can actually get out of the campaign. I think we probably have to look in slightly different places or think of sort of slightly different ways of doing that. And the bespoke script especially was really powerful with that. But that sort of meant it was nowhere near as black box as I thought. So certainly, yeah, I can understand people's apprehension around moving to it. But yeah, I think discovering whilst working on it lots and lots, with the more experience that we got on the campaign type, I think I'm much more confident that you can get the information you want out of it and you can really make an impact with that information as well.
Final question. So looking at the future of PPC and what you expect from what's going to happen over the next couple of years, how do you think Performance Max fits into that?
Bit of a tricky one. But yeah, I think from what I understand, most recent updates from Google are very focused around sort of AI and creative especially. And I guess Performance Max certainly sort of moves PPC much further into that direction. But yeah, it's a really tricky one to answer. I mean, you were at Google Marketing Live recently. Can you give any thoughts on that?
Yeah, like you said, the big push from Google and at GML was around how much more creative-led the SERPs are going to be, how much image-based, video-based, and a lot of AI power in that. So generative AI helping to write your copy, helping to create your imagery. So yeah, Performance Max is a nice sort of baby step towards that. It's getting users hands-on with the AI product, with including more creative rather than just the historical text ads that we've always had. So I think it's a nice middle ground towards that future that Google are pushing for that is so AI and creative heavy. Cool, thank you very much for that, Amy. Really insightful, a lot of really useful stuff there about Performance Max. Hope you all found that useful. If you've got a question or you want to find out more, drop us a comment below or reach out.